I'm on my way to go grab some pho. You ever eat that stuff? It's spelled P-H-O. I used to call it pho, but it's pronounced pho. I haven't been eating very much lately, or I haven't been hungry, I should say. I've been sort of making myself eat, but then I realized it wasn't really like that I wasn't hungry. It was that my body was hungry for certain things. So this pho, it's probably my favorite food on the planet, is like delicious Vietnamese food. It's right over there. I'm about to turn around and go get it. But in the meantime, I was thinking on my way over here about the sandcastle of life, how life is sort of like a sandbox. And, you know, bring up Charlie Kirk. I'm just thinking a lot about Charlie. You know, it's influenced me and affected me a lot the last week. And about heaven. What is heaven? When I vaped DMT, it was the closest experience I've ever had to like a spirit realm. And when I was in that experience, it was like this warm, flowing heat of love. It was just this feeling of pure love, of like just good, warm energy, like, you know, being tucked into your mom's arms in her blanket, and like when you're one, kind of feeling of safety and love and being held. And it was really, really, really amazing. And then when I was coming out of that state, I was almost sad that it was gone. And then I realized, you know what, I'm not going to be sad. I'm going to be grateful for having had the experience. And the spirits were still kind of with me. And this female appeared and said, thank you. Thanking me for not giving over to life, not being sad that it was gone, but just appreciating that I had experienced it at all. And I wonder about spirits in general. I'm going to turn around in here. And like, what happens? You know, you go to heaven, you come from heaven. Why would you ever leave that place? Why would I ever want to leave a place like that? And I thought, well, maybe spirits get bored. Maybe they're in there for so long and it's so great and so wonderful that at some point they're like, I need to challenge myself again. I need to suffer. I need to learn something. I need to struggle and overcome it to bring some wisdom back to improve this heaven. Maybe heaven's not permanent. Maybe it does change. You know, maybe the spirits are also improving that reality, and they come here to learn lessons, like we would meditate and have these like spiritual epiphanies to learn lessons to bring back to this realm. The spirits learn lessons here and then they take them back, maybe. Or maybe some people say that this three-dimensional reality that we know of as, you know, as humans, is like a testing ground. That it's spirits that haven't learned their lesson yet will come here and try and learn about virtue or things, and then when they finally figured it out, they go back to heaven, and then that's where they'll be now forever, and they can become part of it again. And I thought about how life was like sort of a sandbox. this creature called life is a sandbox. And we come to the sandbox as little kids, and we walk in, and we're like, hi everyone, and they're like, hey, welcome to the sandbox. He sits over there, and the one kid's like, my dad built this sandcastle. And you're like, oh, neat. And he's sitting by his dad, the sandcastle that his dad built. And some kids, they don't know how their dad built that sandcastle. They just have it because their dad gave it to them. But other kids, they're like, yeah, my dad showed me how to build this, and then he can come help you build a sandcastle because his dad showed him how to build that one, or his mom, or whoever parented him or helped him learn as a youth. And that, it makes me think of like how they say strong times or weak time. I don't know what the phrasing is, but like strong men make great times, which make weak men. Vaguely, you know, it's sort of a paraphrasing it. But like, one generation will suffer and struggle and learn and have no choice but to learn how to build this great things. And then the next generation or the generations previous will be like, well, I don't have to learn how to do it because it's already here for me. Which kind of synergizes with the sandbox metaphor. I just pulled into the Vietnamese restaurant, but I'm going to finish talking about this idea before I go in. And it made me think about how important it is to to teach your children how to build the sandcastle that you built. But of course, in the times when people have no choice, like they say that, what is it? Not desperation, but necessity is the mother of invention. Like when you have no choice but to build a house to survive, you will figure it out and do it. And so for a father, I'm just saying father, it can always be mother too, but for a father, because I'm the man, so I'm going to do that, to teach his child, even though he doesn't have to, without the necessity, is takes effort to get yourself into that state of mind of like, it's to remind yourself how important it is, even though it doesn't need to happen, but how, and maybe there's a reason that we don't teach kids how to do what we did, because they don't have to know. You know, we stand on the shoulders of giants. You don't have to know how to build a house because there's already houses built. But the value of knowing how to build a house is ever present. And how this reality of this sandbox can just be dashed to bits and then rebuilt and then smashed into sand again by a giant flood, and then from the ground up we rebuild all these semi-permanent structures, these brick walls made of clay, and these steel structures made of iron from the earth's dust and rock that can rust away and melt away and fall back into grit and then rebuilt. And there's all these people sitting, these little kids in the sandcastle, like, look what my daddy had for me when I got here. My great-great-granddaddy built this one. And they're like, wow, that's a cool river. He's like, yeah, 7,000 years ago, a guy figured out that if you dig a ditch and pour the water over there, it will flow over to my castle. And you're like, oh, cool. They called it irrigation. Oh, neat. Like, yeah. And then we have all this engineering and tools that and sort of through word of mouth, we've told like generation after generation. We developed writing, and gosh, this is the beginning of a long conversation that I'm not going to have right now in this video because I'm hungry for the pho. Like a spiritual sandbox. Things seem so permanent, so hard. They seem so strong and structural, but at the same time, they're so amorphous and temporary in a sense. Sometimes people get to the sandcastle and they're like, well, how come you get to have that giant castle? He's like, because my dad built it. And you're like, where did he get all the parts? He's like, well, he traded for them from everyone else over time. Like, but I don't have any sand to do with. And they're like, yeah, I know. You're going to have to figure it out. They're like, I feel for the inequality of it. We've created legal equality, but like how we all start from such different places with different amounts of sand and access to different amounts of it. But you can learn how to do it from people if you're smart, if you're willing, if you're open, capable, intelligent, healthy, and figure it out. And people really, in the spirit of survival as humans, we work together. We're these communal creatures, the monkeys that decided that community is so important, like bonobos, that we will reach out and help others learn how to build their sandcastles, because it's not a zero-sum game. It's not like, if you suffer, then I'm going to do better. We've figured out that, like, if you can thrive, it's going to help me thrive better. And when people suffer, that's when they can lash out and become... So it's a cool team game. It's a co-op game. There's a lot of challenge and competition, but there is, of course, it's a war. You would call it war. It's such a simple phrase, a three-letter word, but it's such a communal experience in the same right, and it's really good to see your neighbors build really thriving civilizations that you can be privy to and part of and next to and near. And then one day, maybe it'll all get washed away and then rebuilt again, or maybe we'll pour epoxy all over it and it'll stay kind of like more semi-permanent. Maybe. I'm gonna go make myself eat some healthy stuff.